What if you put in all this work to get your shit together, get your life on track, and these world issues just keep coming? Like COVID, World War III, whatever. Like there's just so much bullshit. I don't even know how the majority of people would be coping right now. Put on a brave face, pretend everything's okay, just ignore it. Like, what are you doing? I'm looking straight at it. I'm staring it in the face. Like, come on, come at me, bro. Like, I'm prepared for everything to continue to be this way. Like, as soon as you feel like you've freed yourself from one thing, you're into another thing. It seems to be the way of the world right now. For those who are new, this is my video journal. It's never intended to be advice or guidance. I'm just expressing what I'm thinking and feeling in the present moment. And there's a million things that I'd rather be saying, but I've got this jaded feeling, like just, oh, another thing. And underneath the jaded feeling is a fear that I've worked really hard my entire life just to get to the starting line. Like I feel like I've always felt that, like I'm just to get the bare essentials. I feel like I've worked really hard, and now I'm like starting to see the fruits of my labor for the last decade, and I have a fear that the world will just implode and I won't have anything to show for it, or I'll have to start again. And I've started again so many times for so many different reasons. But in that I have a fearlessness, because I know I can do it. It would just be no different to showing up to the gym each day for me, to completely start my entire life over again and just be like, yep, okay, I've got nothing, everything's fucked, this is familiar, let's proceed. And that, I don't know what that is. I don't know how somebody else would respond to that, or how a psychologist would analyze that, but I don't care, because as anybody who knows me knows, or anybody that watches these journals knows, like, I'm not about being analyzed and judged and labeled and everything by experts. Like, I'm very big on, it's your journey, you're the expert on yourself, figure it out. Use the resources that are available to you. Go to an expert and talk to them, but don't like give over the control of your decision making or your autonomy or anything really. Like, even allow them to project onto you like what your problem is. Like, go to them and talk to them and understand like all these different perspectives and figure it out. And of course, for some people that's going to be more difficult, but I wish I could explain why it's worth it, because I have seen little it's like I can feel the emotions that are behind some of the comments and messages, where people are just full of this explosive energy that they've internalized about how unfair the world is and how hard things are. And I'm familiar with that kind of explosive energy because I did it a lot myself on my journey. Finding it hard to focus. It is spitting, like I've felt a few raindrops, and I do need to be somewhere. And I am cutting my schedule a little bit tight. I really wish that these journals could always be very focused and deliberate. and I could deliver something that had a clear beginning, middle, and end, like a bit of a structure to it, some narrative. But sometimes I'm just not so centered. I'm reducing the journals down. This is not a priority anymore. So it probably won't change that much from your perspective as a viewer, because it's all time delayed and I'm ahead anyway. But I was trying to record 4 or 5 a week, and I'm dropping it back to 2 or 3. So if I go back to 2, then you'll notice. But if I go back to 3, it'll pretty much seem the same. There was a period where I was publishing 4 a week, but it's just become more of a distraction than something that's actually beneficial, because I'm constantly stressing about how am I going to fit everything into my week, and there's things that are more important now. There's things that I cannot justify not doing, but I can justify not doing a video journal, because one reason is I feel like they'll be better if I focus on everything that's more important and I actually go and do the things that I am talking about doing, have the experiences that I need to have, so that then I can come back and I can recount what I've learned and what I've experienced. So if I free up more space by just releasing this pressure to do journals all the time, I'll actually do more, and the journals will get exciting and interesting again, because that was the thing that I was feeling. I was feeling flat and defeated, and like I've got nothing worthwhile to share in so many of these journals, because I was flat out just getting here, showing up on camera. And you know, with the things that I talked about at the start of the video, I've got a lot of I've been jaded, I've been stuck, I've been biting off more than I can chew has been an issue. Or it's not that I can't chew it, but it's a mouthful. Like it is the maximum I can fit in there. It's the maximum that I can handle. And I've been staying at that maximum for longer and longer periods of time. I'm still resting, I'm still retreating back into like familiarity, safety and comfort, and just looking after myself as well. Self-care is like at an all-time high. You can see that. Like I look like I'm looking after myself, which is new-ish, I suppose. It's been gradually improving, like how much I've been taking care of myself. Like I was joking with my mum, like, you wouldn't even recognize me now. And it's like true. Even there's a girl that I've been seeing, and I ran into her at the beach, and she didn't recognize me until I was like a meter away, and I was walking directly towards her, and she told me after that she was like anxious, like she's like, why is this dude walking towards me? Like, and turns out it's me. So that's fun. I joke that I've like got a disguise now, like nobody from my past would recognize me. It's interesting. I like my little jokes and playing with reality, I guess. Probably shouldn't. But I also like the time delay, because it's like you don't know where I am, you don't know when I am. Like Instagram's just seen a photo of me that looks nothing like me now, and that's where Instagram's at, and then yeah, all these different things. It will all make sense. I imagine from the viewer's perspective, like you're seeing, it's still linear. It's just that I'm kind of in the future, and yeah, it's like all it is a time delay, but it's super fun, like from my perspective, to just be able to, and it's so much of a relief. Like I've said it before, I've said it heaps of times actually, but it's worth highlighting again. Like time delaying your social media, if you're somebody who shares authentically, it's just, I could not stress enough how beneficial it is, because I post this today, or I record this today, and it doesn't get published until all the things that I'm scared of right now have been dealt with, and all of the challenges, everything that's going on in the present moment, have no more emotional attachment to it because it's so far from my reality when you finally see it. And sometimes it feels weird because people are like kind of connecting with me in that moment of time that I'm no longer in. And sometimes it works, sometimes because it's like I can still feel like I'm still connected to that moment. But if it's like an issue or a problem or a challenge, usually it's so far behind me, like I've kind of dealt with it. And now I'm in a place where it's like, yeah, cool. Like it's like like I'm the one that said it. It was my story. It was what was happening in my life. But I'm kind of looking at it just like you are. Like I'm looking at it as an observer. Like, oh yeah, that would be very frustrating, or that would upset me. I guess. But even that, like, I'm kind of just looking at it as a subjective thing outside of myself because it's not connected to me in the present moment anymore. It's fun. It's like a new degree of freedom that I'm really happy that I discovered. And I guess I kind of shrunk that freedom by recording too many journals, because it's just like social media, man. If it gets too, if too social media, like if you like a pie chart, I've got a picture in my mind of a pie chart, and if social media takes up too much of that pie chart, like your time, if you're investing too much time in social media, it's like you start to not be a person anymore. You start to not do things. Like you just, it's like you kind of get taken over by this digital version of reality, and there's nothing like, if all you were doing was on social media all the time, like what is there to even report? Like, what is there to even talk about? What is there to share? Like, how do you connect? And it's funny, the paradox, like it's supposed to be the way that we stay connected. Social media was like, oh yeah, Facebook, we can all talk to each other at the press of a button, we can FaceTime, we can see each other, we can, like, it's all that. But is it really? Like even these journals that are pretty impersonal if you really stop and think about it. Like I know people watch these and they feel connected, but if I'm too much like just trying to create this is not a whole being. Like this is not what we are. Like this is shrinking everything down. It's like simplifying. What's the word? Like it's just like processed food. Like it's like processed kai right now. It's not, it doesn't have all the nutrients and like all the good stuff that real kai has if you actually spend time with me, and I spend time with myself. Like I'm spending time with myself in this way, but it's like it's such a restrictive way of being, because even with all of the practice that I've done in like letting go of all my fear of judgment and my self-consciousness, and like trying to be more truthful and honest, so I'm not just wasting my own time talking here. I'm sitting here talking about nothing, like because I'm too afraid to express myself. Like I've done all this work, but it's still a fraction of like real. Like when you're with your friends and you're on the beach and it's a beautiful day and you're eating fruit, and like it's such a rich multi-dimensional experience, whereas like these screens, they just like make everything 2D. I know we're gonna be running around in a metaverse, and that's the plan, and it'll be 3D, but that 3D is still not gonna be real 3D. It's still gonna be missing everything. Like it's still gonna be, and that pie chart of like how much time you're investing in social media, it's gonna fill up even more, and you're gonna feel even more disconnected from yourself and everybody else, and it's just something that I don't want. So it's weird. I'm not the only person on the internet that's saying like, let's all get off the internet and go outside. But there's no incentive to. going back to my last journal about complacency, like if everything's so easy and everything's taken care of, like why would you challenge yourself? Why would you do the thing that isn't comfortable and luxurious and, pleasurable? You get to eat whatever you want, watch whatever you want, relax, lay down. You can go through a million episodes of whatever television shows you want, watch movies, like send each other memes and TikToks. All the most addictive media is available, and it's at no cost. Like financially, it's at a huge cost, mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. But we don't see that because we're not programmed to think about those things as costs. We're very deep in this capitalist paradigm, man, thinking that success is being a billionaire. Most of those billionaires are miserable. They all got coaches and shit. They got teams. They got into therapy. They're trying to figure it out. They're all divorced. Their families leaving them. Like, everything's falling apart. What goes up must come down. Like, success isn't any of that shit. Success is being able to actually look yourself in the eye and go, yeah, this is all right. Like, where I am right now, I'm here because I deserve it, and it all makes sense, and I have connection in my life, and I'm happy about this. I wonder what it'll be like to continue on this path with integrity, honest with myself, and achieve these things and have massive abundance and freedom without the sacrificing everything, sacrificing my own integrity, sacrificing my connections, and sacrificing my health, my relationships, and everything like people do to get that thing that we are programmed to believe is success, because we've all been brought up in the same systems. That's something that I was talking about recently with a friend, because they were getting reactive to what I was saying, and I couldn't figure out why. But it's like I was calling out the fact that we all assume that we know what each other's talking about in a colonial society, a society that's been colonized by white people, like Britain and shit. Like it's totally taken for granted that reality is objective and we all are looking at the same thing. We all have the same understanding because we were all programmed so similarly in school and everything. Like, you were in the same maths class, you were in the same English class, you all got forced through the same system and you all came out the other side. So it's like the impulse to even question or even consider the possibility of questioning each other in a conversation, or just even asking for some clarity. Is this what you mean? None of that happens. We all just totally assuming that we're on the same page with everything because we're all so similarly programmed. We're so homogenized. I love that word. You might know that I love that word because I use it a lot. Homogenizing something means making it all the same. Just putting it all together so it levels out. So you've got the same even amount. So if you had a society full of people, you homogenize them. You try to get them all to be as similar as possible so that there's no surprises, basically. And that's what's happened to us. So the impulse to question and dig deeper, and the impulse to look for nuance or even explore any possibility, it's not natural anymore because we just expect, if I say something, you know what I mean. And we don't have to dig any deeper. We don't need to explore anything. We don't have to think. That's the big thing, isn't it? You don't have to think. You just know. We all just know. We know what's up. But it's all crumbling because that homogenization process, making everything so the same, it doesn't feel natural. It feels bad. It feels restrictive. You don't feel free. You almost feel like you can't breathe in a society where you're expected to match everybody else, and you're expected to all be on the same page and have the same beliefs and watch the same news and agree with the same government and So there's little cracks in this system that are forming as people are starting to go, oh, I'm not feeling so good about this. And for the very first time, perhaps they start asking these questions. Like, wait a minute, I don't think that we are agreeing. I think that there's a deeper, subtle nuance here that we need to explore and discuss. And then, the manifestations of that are huge amounts of polarization and conflict and everything, but it's worth it. It's worth challenging yourself and challenging each other, going through the discomfort, staying the same, just allowing everything to keep rolling on. I don't think it's going to work out very well. So even in the very beginning of the video, I said I'm feeling jaded. Like, what if I put all this work in and it's all for nothing? I know the thing that I always come back to, the thing that makes me at peace again. I'm at peace again right now, just even thinking it, is the thing that makes me at peace with the fact that I might put on all this hard work and it might be for nothing is if I don't do anything, I'm guaranteeing that I'm going to be worse off. Like if I just decided to be complacent, like the world's all going to shit anyway, and I'm just going to eat Doritos and sit on my couch and stream infinite Netflix, like I know that leads nowhere. Whereas at least this way I've got a chance. And if the world does go like the worst possible outcomes, just cascading into the future, like just non-stop terrible shit happening, I'll be in a better position to handle that if I've already made peace with the present moment and I'm ready to put in the work and I'm ready to keep putting one foot in front of the other no matter what. And I'm going to be happy about it. I'm going to do my best and I'm going to enjoy the journey as much as I can, no matter how much chaos comes my way. If you get anything out of these videos, please pass them on to anybody else you know who may vibe with this kind of content. Subscribe if you haven't already, and leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear what's going on in your thoughts and feelings in the present moment.